Ancient Britain was noted by the classical writers as being a centre of sacred learning. Among ancient writings, the two main sources that we have are Hecataeus of Mystala, who wrote in the 3rd and 4th century BC, quoting Marcellus, stating that opposite Gaul there was a large island, larger than Sicily, and in that island there was a circular temple to the gods. Most people take this to mean Stonehenge, but some think it may have been Glastonbury Tor, because if you change one letter in the Greek translation, you actually get spiral rather than circular temple to the gods. Whichever it is, it doesn't alter the principle. Here is a well-known Greek historian quoting another well-known classical Greek writer talking about Britain, where the Hyperboreans, the people beyond the north winds, lived. There they had sacred gatherings, sacred teachings, and they were very adept at musical harmonies. Every 19th year, Apollo, the god of the sun and of healing, perhaps the second Greek god after Zeus, went to the island, which was known, according to Hecataeus, as the great cycle of the moon. We also have the writings of Julius Caesar, and he says that Britain was at the centre of the teachings of the Druids, that they had great universities and great men of learning, and that people from all over Europe came to Britain, for they had a 20-year system of training which was not written down. He does in fact point out that the Druids could write in Greek, something which is usually overlooked. This confirms another thing that Hecataeus said, which is equally remarkable. He said that they, the ancient Britons, had a great association with the ancient Greeks, especially the Athenians and the Aeolians. And this ties up very well with a mention in another ancient Greek writing that an ancient British wise man named Abaris was no less than the tutor to no less a figure than Pythagoras, the greatest spiritual philosopher before Socrates. Some would argue one of the greatest men in the whole of history, because it was Pythagoras and the sect that was founded by him, the Pythagoreans, lasted for centuries in Greek civilization. If, as Hecataeus says, there was a constant connection between the Hyperboreans and the Athenians and the Aeolians, and if they did in fact supply the tutor to Pythagoras, it shows that Britain was a very sacred centre. What then of Britain's role in the New Age, one in which the Earth has a new energetic grid, and our environment, the template that sets the conditions for life, has become less material and more ethereal? One where we have become beings that understand that everything is energy, everything has consciousness, and everything is connected, and that we live through the empowerment of others. Wales and Ireland, of course, hold the energy from that Celtic age, the Celtic folk soul, and like the Southwest, they have their share of ancient megaliths and other structures. Wessex is of course defined through the exploits of King Alfred. Amongst other things, Alfred's reign is epitomised by his promotion of education and his sense of compassion and determination to adhere and aspire to those highest of ideals, whatever the odds. Within Wessex, indeed Somerset, is Glastonbury, that small market town which has become a beacon for the idea of the New Age, an attempt to anchor these new ideas in our material physicality. Glastonbury certainly has mythos, a sacred tradition. Indeed, it is said that the Christ himself prepared it as a home for his mother. If you were a real skeptic, you might say, so what if Christ built a church there? So what if Mary, Joseph of Arimathea, or King Arthur were buried there? If Glastonbury were intrinsically sacred, it wouldn't matter if Mary or Jesus ever came, and if they did, how would we ever prove such claims? A powerful place draws itself to the symbols and images of the sacred. The Axis Mundi, Divine King, Holy Grail, and the Avalonian mysteries. But ultimately, being sacred is far more than being about myth or tradition. One might argue, in fact, that everything and everywhere is sacred, and that the problem lies within us, for we do not see this, not at least in our current thinking. This then is our challenge, to free ourselves of that material yoke that we have wrung and flung around our necks, to rise above the lower emotions of greed, ego, status, and imagery, and to bring to fruition this turnaround in our thinking, where we value absolutely everything, including the earth, as being a divine being. Everything, of course, has consciousness, and it actually doesn't matter where we live or who we are. We must all work together to manifest this new higher way, this new higher view of everything, where we understand and appreciate and give thanks to the fact that everything is sacred.